Ski-Doo 600 EFI Summer Storage Procedure. Today we're performing the summer storage procedure on the Ski-Doo Expedition Sport 600 EFI. Other 600 EFI models have similar storage procedures, so feel free to use this as a guide for those other models too. It's important to note that this is your summer storage procedure and not your pre-ride maintenance procedure. That video is coming soon. Step 1. Download your owner's manual. Yeah, they probably gave you a paper copy when you bought your sled, but who reads paper anymore? The owner's section of the Ski-Doo website will give you access to your sled's owner's manual. Just right-click on it and download it. It'll tell you everything you need to know. But I'll tell you too, for good measure. Let's start by cleaning the vehicle. BRP makes a full line of cleaning products, but I've got some quick detailer in my shop already, so I'll use that. Look, we're not detailing a Bentley here, this is an off-road machine. We want to wipe it down, make it attractive so we can't wait to ride it again, and keep it looking new. Hit the whole thing with some all-purpose cleaner. In addition to the Ski-Doo storage procedure, I'm going to look around the Expedition and identify anything that needs to be repaired or replaced. I'm checking the suspension components, looking for excessive play, rattles, or wear. There's some damage on the left ski. That's from a rock strike at 120 kilometers per hour. That's when I learned an important lesson. On a Ski-Doo, everything that's not snow white is a rock. A new ski is already on order. Let's tip the sled on its side to inspect the carbides and track. I'm placing a padded carpet mat to protect my sled's bodywork before I roll it on its side. The right carbide is worn but intact. Keep in mind that I almost never trailer my sled, so that means a bit of road running on every ride. The left carbide has failed completely. Good thing I have to replace that ski anyways. The carbide runner has separated completely from its rear mounting point. When road running, the left ski drags on the pavement while the right one's in a snowbank, explaining the excessive wear on the left side only. I'll add a pair of carbides to my order with my dealer. I already have a new set of sliders on hand. Let's measure the distance between the bottom of the slider and the wear marker on the new one, then measure the one on my sled to determine how much is worn away. The new slider has 8 millimeters of material from the bottom to the wear mark. My used slider has 7 millimeters left, so I've only used 1 millimeter of slider in 1,300 kilometers of riding. I'll hang on to these new sliders to do the replacement when needed. At a glance, the track looks excellent. Spinning it a bit, the whole thing looks excellent. I'm surprised, considering all of the low snow conditions and challenging off-trail rides this year, that I'm not missing any paddles. Now I'm spraying the rear suspension with rust-inhibiting, plastic-safe lubricant. This helps me clean up the suspension, saves steel parts from rust, and improves the suspension performance with lubrication. Next, we look at the lubrication points specified in the manual. 1 at the front, 2 in the middle, 1 at the rear, and going to the upper middle, I have 2 points with no Zerk fittings. I checked with my dealer, and this is normal for the 2 upper grease points to lack Zerk fittings. If you don't have a grease gun, don't sweat it. Just go pick one up. My local hardware store has several options from $16 to $25, and a tube of grease that will last you a decade costs less than $10. With grease gun in hand, push the nozzle onto the Zerk fittings and pump the gun a few times. Don't pump it too hard, you'll feel it when you've put enough grease in. I used a pin nozzle for the 2 grease points that didn't have Zerk fittings. Now I'm going to wipe up any excess grease because I don't want this stuff getting into the track. We're done with the underside, let's right the sled. I like to fill my tank before storage so condensation can't form in the gas tank. I'll also add fuel stabilizer. About 1.5 ounces of BRP XPS fuel stabilizer should do. Let's not forget to lubricate that brake handle pivot. A bit of silicone lubricant won't hurt the hydraulic seals but keeps the pivot top notch. While we're at it, we'll oil the parking brake pivot too. Next, we need to get the fuel stabilizer into the EFI system. We'll shake the Ski-Doo up a bit to mix the stabilizer in the fuel tank, then start the engine and let the stabilized fuel get pulled into the EFI system. According to the owner's manual, we're supposed to run the sled until the heat exchanger warms up. At home, you can feel this with your hand, just reach under the rear tunnel and see if it's warm yet. But I have a thermal multimeter, so let's use that. It's been running for a few minutes. Let's check the heat exchanger. Nothing, no heat back here at all. It hasn't warmed up yet. Check out the headlights. They look sinister and thermal. After 15 minutes of checking and waiting, the rear heat exchanger finally heats up. While the engine's running, open up the right side hood flap and pull the oil pump line. There are 2 zip ties holding it in place. Slide the upper zip tie upward and pull the cable. This injects extra oil into the engine to protect it over the summer. I'm going to pull the hood off for this next part. Check out the video linked below in the description for detailed hood removal procedures. In a nutshell, open the wings and lift them off. Pull out the bolts in the glove box, then the 2 in the front fenders. Pop off the glove box and gauge cluster, then remove the 2 screws under the gauge cluster. Undo the wiring, take off the belt guard, and loosen the air intake screw. Finally, you can remove the bodywork. We can now remove the spark plug wires. Place the right one well to the right so we don't get them mixed up. Remove both spark plugs. Spray in engine protectant in the left and right spark plug holes. About 5 seconds each will do. Then turn the engine over 3 times by hand to distribute the oil, protecting the engine internals. We reinsert the spark plugs and torque them to 21 foot-pounds plus or minus 1 foot-pound. My torque wrench is rated in inch-pounds, so I've set it to 250 inch-pounds. Apply a pinch of dielectric grease to every connector as you reinstall them. This makes the job easier next time. While I'm in here, I'll top up the oil with XPS synthetic oil to ensure excellent performance next season. Now I roll up an old car wash rag and stuff it in the exhaust pipe. This prevents oil from dripping out and probably prevents critters from crawling in. Next, I'll reinstall the hood, gauge cluster, glove box, side access panels, and windshield. Now I'm going to slide the sled out of the way in my garage where it's going to stay for the summer. Finally, I jack up the rear of the sled so that the track is completely off the ground. And here we have it, one Ski-Doo Expedition Sport 600 EFI, summarized and waiting for winter.